All right, we're going to work on finding the interquartile range of a data set. So the IQR is a shortened way to write the interquartile range. It's a big word that just means that we're going to find a range of the quartiles of a data set. And we're going to talk about what that means in just 1 second. So IQR is interquartile range. Okay, and the interquartile range is still a range, and when we're finding the range, what operation do we have to do? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Subtract, because it's a difference between this is going to be the upper quartile and the lower quartile. All right, so I'm going to tell you how to do this. There's 6 steps on how to do it. It's a little bit confusing at first, but once you do it a couple times, it'll start to make more sense. There's not a ton of math involved, not a ton of hard or difficult math, but it does get a little confusing if you don't pay attention. But luckily, you've got step 1 through 6 of exactly how to do it. So if you just follow these steps, you'll get it right every time. And the work is pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Once you do it 4 or 5 times, you'll understand what to do. So the first step is, for any time we are given a data set, is to put the data set in order. And how do we order our numbers? From least to greatest. Okay, and then after we do that, step 2 is that we're going to find the median. And what does median mean? The middle of our data set. So we're going to find the number that's right in the middle. Sometimes it's 2 numbers, sometimes it's 1 number. But we're going to find those middle number or numbers. Then we are going to find the lower half of the data set and the upper half of the data set. Once I know where the middle is or the median is, I can cut that data set in half, and then everything to the left will be the lower numbers and everything to the right will be the upper numbers or the bigger numbers. Then we are going to find the median, and again, median means middle of the lower half, and the median of the upper half. So when we cut it in half down the middle of our data set, we have the lower half and the upper half. Then we're going to find the middle of the small numbers and then the middle of the big numbers. And then after that, we're going to find the difference. And difference means what? Subtraction between the upper half and the lower half. This is the part that is the range. So that's the range part of it. So the interquartiles is all of this part. This is the interquartiles. And then the difference, the 6th step, this is where the range comes in. So step 1 through 5 is finding the quartiles. And then step 6 is finding the range. Okay, so to do that, we have an example down here. This is the data set that we were given as an example. And they have already put it in order from least to greatest. So step 1, they put this entire data set in order from least to greatest. Step 2 is that they had to find the middle of the data set, the median. So they crossed a number off on each side until they ended up with 1 number in the middle. And that number is our median. And the median is also known as Q2, quartile 2. So I'm going to go ahead and add that back up here in our notes. So the second step tells me where Q2 is. It is the middle of our data set. We have to find Q2, the middle, before we can do anything else. Then we are going to identify the upper half and the lower half. So when I have that number in the middle, I'm going to take everything to the left of it, and this is going to be my lower half. And then I'm going to take everything to the right of it, and this is going to be my upper half, or the bigger numbers. These are the bigger numbers. The lower half is the lower numbers. I did not include the median in this because there's only one number. And if I included the median in the lower half, then that side would have 5 numbers and the upper half would only have 4, and then it wouldn't be a half. If I included the 7 in the upper half, then the upper half would have 5 numbers and the lower half would have 4, and that's not the middle. So when we only have one number in the middle, we don't include it in the upper half or the lower half. We take everything to the left and everything to the right, but that one single number stays out. Okay? And then after I have found the lower half, I'm going to find the median of that lower half. So again, we're going to take a number off each side until we have 2 numbers left or 1 number. And then I'm going to find the median of this. And again, if you can't remember what the median is when you have 2 numbers, you add them together and divide it by 2. But in between 5 and 5 is still just 5. So this is the median of the lower half. And the median of the lower half is known as Q1. And then after we have found Q1, we are going to go find the middle of the upper half, which is 2 numbers, 8 and 10. In this blue section, we have an 8 and a 12, which would come off, and then I have 8 and 10 left. And the number in between 8 and 10 is 9. So this is the median of the upper half. Again, 10 plus 8 is 18, divided by 2 gives me 9. And then this is called Q3. So once we have our data set, it goes down the line Q1. The middle of the lower half is Q1. The middle of the whole thing is Q2. The middle of the upper half is Q3. So they go in order, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then to find the IQR, the last step, step 6, is we have to find the difference or subtract the upper half quartile, so Q3, which is 9. That is not the right thing. 9 minus, because we're just finding the difference, the lower middle, which was Q1, and that was 5. And so the interquartile range is 9 minus 4, 5, which is 4. All right, so we're going to take those steps that we already have, step 1 through 6, and we're going to do it down here in this data set together. So the first thing we have to do, it tells me, is put the data set in order. So we have least to greatest, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, 15. I like to cross them off as I go so that way I can check to make sure I've done them all. Sometimes I also come back through and count the numbers that I wrote down here to make sure they're the same amount of numbers here, because that's usually where the mistakes happen, is you'll forget a number in your data set. Okay, so now we can start finding the IQR by starting with the median, and the median is going to be Q2. It's the middle of our data set. So I'm going to cross a number off both sides until I end up with 1 or 2 numbers in the middle. In this case, we have 2 numbers in the middle, 7 and 8. So I have to find the middle of 7 and 8. So 7 plus 8 is 15, divided by 2 gives me 7.5. And this is my median, or Q2. Same thing. So my median is 7.5. And then these notes say to find the upper half next, which is fine. When I have 2 numbers in the middle for my median, I have to split this up down the middle. So if I have 2 numbers for my median, 1 is going to go with the lower half down here, and 1 number is going to go with the upper half. When I only had 1 number in the middle, it stayed out all by itself, because I only had 1 number and I can't split the 1 number in between the 2 groups. But when I have 2 numbers, 1 can go down and 1 can go up. So if I have 2 numbers in the middle and I'm having to figure out what's in between those numbers, then I can split 1 part of it down into the lower half, and then 1 number would go in the upper half. So the lower number goes with the lower half, the bigger number goes with the upper half. If they're the same number, you just give 1 number to each side. And then again, we're going to come in here and find the middle of our upper and lower half. And now don't forget, we still have that 7 that was from my median originally. And so when I cross them off, I have 4 and 5. And so I need to find the middle of our 4 and 5, which is going to give me 4.5. And this is my Q1, because they go in order 1, 2, 3, which is also the median of the lower half. So this should be 4.5. I did them backwards. I should have started with the upper half, but it doesn't matter. You're going to do both, so it doesn't matter which one you do first. And then again, we're going to go find the median of the upper half. So 1, 1. I should have 2 numbers in the middle. If I had 2 numbers in the middle on the left side, I should have 2 numbers in the middle on the right side. And I don't know off the top of my head what's in the middle of 10 and 13. So we're going to have to add them together. So 10 plus 13 would give me 26. And then I have to divide it by 2 because we're trying to find the average of those two things, or the mean. And then we would end up with 11.5, which is our Q3, or our median for the upper half. It's 11.5. So now step 6 tells me that I need to find the difference between the upper quartile, which is 11.5, and the lower quartile, which is 4.5. And difference means subtract. So we're going to subtract 4.5 from 11.5, and that's going to leave me with 7. So my inner quartile range is 7. And then the last thing I want you to do is figure out what the range is. We're going to skip mean for now. You're going to do it later, but you don't have to do it today unless you have finished this and you have nothing else to do. Then you can work on finding the mean. But we're going to do the range for sure, because I want you to see the difference between the inner quartile range and the regular range. So the regular range is, if we remember, it's a little word that has very little work that we have to do. To find the range, we just take the biggest number in our data set and subtract it from the smallest number in our data set, which is 2, and that would give us our range. So inner quartile range, we are still subtracting 2 things, but we have to do all of this work first before we can find the inner quartile range, because I have to find the middle, and then the middle and the middle, and then subtract the biggest middle and the smallest middle. And then that's why interquartile range is a big word. We have to do big work. If it's just asking for the range and no quartiles, then we just take the biggest and the smallest and subtract. So they're very different, but they're both finding a range, and a range means you're always going to subtract something. Okay, so try the other one on the guided practice by yourself. Make sure you are following your steps 1 through 6, and then on the back of your paper you have 2 more. Again, if you have time, you can figure out the mean and add all those numbers up and then divide by the amount of numbers that you have and figure out what that mean is. And then make sure you have put your work in for all of these questions at the bottom: the median, the upper quartile, lower quartile, IQR, and range. And I should see all of this work on your paper.